Good morning. Happy Feminine Friday. My name is Suze. Welcome to Inhale Love with Suze. Every Friday, I love doing these videos talking about feminine energy and feminine energy tip of the day. And when I was really contemplating what I wanted to talk about this Feminine Friday, I was actually kind of surprised at myself that I haven't talked about this yet, because this is a key little secret ingredient, kind of a secret little tool to add to your tool belt of feminine energy tools that I really use with my clients, that has turned out to be wildly successful for women as far as really starting to create some really radical awareness around the power of feminine energy. And what I mean by that is, and I've talked about this before on the channel, if you come from a background of really being in your masculine energy for the large majority of your life, and you are more identified with your masculine energy, and so then therefore you were always the one that was like making the things happen in your life, right? Or you were the one that was always doing the things, always planning the things, always figuring the things out, strategizing, overthinking, over planning, over strategizing, and that kind of hustling, forcing, making things happening in your life. If you were more identified with that, switching over into your feminine can be triggering sometimes because it feels very passive, right? And when you're not used to being in a more passive, and I use that term loosely, when you're not used to being in a more passive state of being, there can be this like mind trap where you feel like, and again, this is a lie, but it's your mind. You're trying to embody a different state of being in your feminine energy, and your mind tries to trip up around the fact that you're giving away your power because you're being so passive, or that your value, your sense of value, and what you're contributing to the world, or how well you perform in the world, or how well people see how hard you're trying or performing in the world. It shakes your sense of self and self-worth and value. And so being in a more passive space with the feminine energy in the beginning can kind of trip you up, because it feels like, well, I'm not doing anything. And if I'm not doing anything, then maybe it's I'm lazy, or maybe it's, I don't know, whatever it is, but there's some negative story that you may notice, or belief in your belief system, that may bubble up when you start to really relax and lean into the feminine energy. And so on that note, one place in particular that I have noticed this to be really radically powerful, and it started with me, of course. I'm in human design. I am a projector with a 3-5 profile. And the 3-5 profile means that I love to experiment in my life. And I learn the best by being very observant and inquisitive about myself and my life and my reality, and by experimenting different things, seeing how it plays out, see how the whole energetics of the situation works out. And from trying different things and experimenting with energy, that's how I learn the best. And I love that. And it really has been such an amazing tool for me to use in creating all of these tools and concepts and shifts that I now give to women in working with women. And so one of the most radical experiments I did with myself, and then therefore started giving to my clients, and I noticed that it really impacted them as powerfully as it did me, is something really, really simple. And I say this all the time: just because something is really, really simple does not mean it's easy, okay? Big difference between simple and easy. And for a lot of women, this is one of those things. However, when something is not easy, it's also an opportunity for massive self-empowerment and rapid growth and expansion, right? So, that being said, what is this little trick, this little secret, right? Here's the thing. again, if you come from a background story of being more in your masculine energy, and you're now shifting over into the feminine, you're more aware of your feminine aspect, and you want that to flourish, and you want the feminine to bloom, and you're recognizing that, being in the feminine does feel a little bit lighter and easier, and just I can breathe a little bit more, and like I feel a sense of relief because I can let go of so much of this like trying so hard, and I like that with the feminine, right? The next step is to notice how you've been living your life has impacted your relationships with men. Okay? Because again, we're just talking about energy, masculine energy and feminine energy. And I realized this like years and years and years ago. I was still married at the time, and I recognized, I was really unhappy, and I was really evaluating myself and my dating history with men, and like, what went wrong, and why do I always end up at the same place, right? And going through all of that self-reflection, I realized that I had a pattern of, I was the one who was always making the relationships happen. I was always the one that was like, reaching out and like trying to get together or communicating. Like I was always the one that was doing a lot of things, and I always got a pleasant response on the other end of it. But I never felt like the guy really took the initiative and took the lead. It never was really like that. And when I recognized that, I was like, oh my God, that's just another example where I was in my masculine. And so I was bringing in men who, in the relationship aspect, not in all aspects of their lives, but in the relationship aspect, they would be more in the feminine passive, and they just kind of be in that passive role, right? And this is very, very, very common with women, okay? And this is one of those moments where, again, feminism and the feminine empowerment movement has kind of hurt us. Like a lot of feminine empowerment has needed to happen, and clearly I am all about feminine empowerment. That is entirely my heart's desire, is to help the divine feminine rise, because the rise of the divine feminine is what is going to heal our world. However, as with anything, you can go too far, or there's also always a dark side and a light side to anything. Anything can be used for good or evil, and anything can also go too far in a direction and therefore become something that's harming more than helping. And so in the years that we have had amazing, much needed movement forward with feminine energy and with women, one thing that has hurt us, I believe, in my belief system with feminine and masculine energy, one thing that has hurt the feminine, the rise of the feminine, is this idea that, the women, like, we don't have to wait around for men anymore, right? And yes, don't get me wrong, it's not about waiting around for men. I did a video on that. Feminine energy does not wait. It's not about waiting. It's not about waiting. However, there's this mindset of like, I don't have to wait for a guy to initiate. I'll go initiate with a guy if I want to. I'll go make my dates happen. I will reach out and communicate whenever I want to. And yes, you can do that. However, what I have learned is this little experiment. There's a notification here that won't go away. Sorry about that. There's a thing that's really powerful when you stop initiating and you stop and you simply lean back and be the one who receives and responds. And receiving, right? Receiving is entirely feminine energy. Feminine energy, Empress energy. It's all about receiving, allowing, seeing what comes towards you, feeling into what is being offered to you, and seeing if it is in alignment with your values. Seeing if it's in alignment with the vision you have. Sorry, there is like a hair that keeps going in my eye. Seeing if what is being presented to you is in alignment with your total emotional fulfillment or not. Seeing if what is being presented to you is in alignment with the vision that you see for your life or your manifestation. It's never about that instant gratification, quick hit. It's about the long-term picture of where I'm going. What is it that I've learned in checking in with my heart that is my true heart's desires? What are the energies that I would be surrounded by and have in abundance in this future life that I'm creating, this manifestation? Does this thing that's being presented to me right now, does this align with that picture, right? That's very feminine receptive. So back to the practical. I challenge you for a week. This is particularly effective if you're dating someone and you don't already live together and you're not married, and so you're not in their presence, in their space as much, right? This is very effective. Try for a week to not be the first one to text, to not be the first one to call, to not initiate any kind of anything. And sit back and relax and see when he reaches out, if and when he reaches out. And in that space of waiting, and I use that term very loosely, in that space, notice what happens with you emotionally. Because with most women, this is when anxiety is gonna come out and say, hello, right? Why hasn't he texted me yet? When is he gonna text? What's going on? Is he okay? Where is he? Why is this taking so long? This is ridiculous. What happens? What are the thoughts that bubble up in the non-doing, in the relaxation? And remember what I've said about anxiety is that anxiety is simply the avoidance of self. So instead of fixating on the fact that in this moment he hasn't texted or he hasn't called or he hasn't made plans with you, instead of focusing on the outside of yourself, bring your power back and pull it back to you. I'm supposed to be relaxing right now. I'm supposed to be feeling good in my own energy right now. So what can I do with myself that would feel really good and comforting and grounding and calming? Bring the attention back to you. Call your power back to you. Call your energy back to you. And learn to love being in your own energy and use your own energy to comfort and soothe and validate and reassure you. And it's really interesting because not only are you learning to overcome anxiety and really, really sit with yourself and work on self-empowerment, but also it's interesting to hear what clients say after that week is over and how much more happy and meaningful it is when communication comes in and she didn't have to ask for it, right? She didn't reach out. When the text message or the call comes in completely inspired from the man, all of himself, and he's not responding to anything that the feminine did, the feeling, the gratification, the emotional fulfillment is so much greater, which just validates my whole point on don't go for the instant gratification, hold out for the bigger thing. It is so much more emotionally fulfilling. So I challenge you for a week to try that out. Simply lean back, relax, wait and see how long it takes. You can make it into a fun game, make it playful. Feminine energy is playful. Let him come to you and then notice how much better it feels when it authentically comes from him and not in response to you. And then you can respond from there, right? But when you respond, again, don't then jump back into the lead and try to make something happen, right? Simply being receptive and grateful and appreciative and warm and welcoming of the incoming message. Try that on and see what you guys think. If you found value, please do like and subscribe to my channel. Drop me a comment what you think about this. If you do take this experiment on, please do come back and drop a comment. Let me know how it felt for you after the week. I'm curious. I'd love to hear more. I love hearing from my clients after they try this on of how they feel at the end of the week. It's really, really empowering and it feels really, really good. And it also helps you work on your anxiety, of overcoming your anxiety, being stronger than your anxiety. So happy Feminine Friday. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Sending so much love and healing to you all. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.